Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited because we are continuing our month-long discussion focusing on AI. I know it's the big thing. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's scared of it. Everybody's thinking, do I need to be doing this? And so we're having so much fun discussing this, also realizing that as we record this next month, what we're talking about will have changed. I mean, that's the thing about AI. It is moving so quickly that it's kind of like drinking from the fire hose, right? Well, I am so excited because now I have not one, but two Laurens who are my guests today. So please join me in welcoming Lauren Capwell and Lauren Shaw. Welcome to our program today.
Thank you so much, Deb. Excited to be here.
Great. Well, let me read your bio and then we will jump into this. So Lauren Capwell and Lauren Shaw, better known as the Laurens, are the powerhouse duo behind a groundbreaking approach to high ticket sales and AI-driven business growth. With a unique blend of expertise, a rocket scientist with a Stanford AI training, and a sales expert who has scaled multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses and sold over $5 million in high-ticket programs. They've cracked the code on how to consistently attract and close premium clients. As the creators of the AI Sales Accelerator and Clarity Playbooks, they help coaches, consultants, and online service providers transform their messaging, automate content creation, and build sales systems that convert. Their mission? To make AI simple, powerful, and practical so business owners can scale with ease, reclaim their time, and achieve lasting financial freedom. Today, they're here to share the real truth about AI in sales and marketing, what's working, what's not, and how to use AI to streamline your business without losing your voice, authenticity, or personal touch. So again, Laurens, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Intro.
Great. It's always so much fun when we do this. Now, I'm always curious, especially now, did you use AI to write your bio?
We sure did.
And what we have talked about with all my other guests and is, what we do with it. But it is new. And so tell us a little bit, as in like now we say that, but of course we've had AI for years, right? Hello, Siri. Hello, Alexa, all of these various things. But tell us a little bit more about how it is that you both got to where you are today.
All right. How much time do we have? 1 hour?
I know. It is the Business Power Hour.
Yes. So I'll kick us off. So Lauren Capwell and I actually have been best friends for the last 4 years or so. We were introduced by a mutual acquaintance, and we were both in jobs that we were feeling a bit burnt out in, right around the time when ChatGPT came on the scene in November of 2022. And we were actually at a friend's house in Malibu, and she showed us this AI tool that wrote a bio for me in about 10 seconds. That was literally hands down the best bio that I had ever heard. And I put hours into writing my bios because I've been an entrepreneur for over 17 years. And when I saw that, I was just like, what just happened? And I showed the other Lauren, and that just like really kicked off some very deep conversations between us around the future of business and, the impact that AI was going to make on the way that we do many things in both our business and personal lives. And the other Lauren had already been studying AI through Stanford. And we realized, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to interject here that what really blew my mind about it. So during the 2020 shutdown, like a lot of other people, I had
Right. Which
extra
I
time on
think
my hands.
spurred AI even more because all these
Yeah.
people were going,
Well, so yeah, so ChatGPT landed, it was like November 30th of 2022 is
Mhm,
when 3.5 came out and
mhm,
the world was like, oh my gosh.
mhm,
But it was back in 2020 during the shutdown. I was taking classes, like online courses through Stanford in
mhm.
AI, data science, machine learning. But it was like the engineering courses. It was
Mhm.
the behind the, like seeing the
Right.
wizard behind the
Mhm,
curtains.
mhm,
Here's the algorithms, here's how they're
mhm,
designed, and you need to know calculus and differential equations and like all that you need to know programming languages.
mhm,
So it was something that was only accessible to giant corporations
mhm.
who had big teams of
Right.
highly trained engineers and, billions of dollars to burn.
Mhm, mhm,
And I remember seeing the technology at the time and I was like, this is going to change everything. Like
mhm,
it was mind blowing. We'd been interacting with it for a while, Netflix algorithms, Facebook
mhm,
algorithms, it's all that stuff. But it was when ChatGPT landed in late 2022 and I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh,
right. Because it was free for
now it's available.
everybody.
They put a user interface on it
Mhm,
that anybody can interact
mhm,
with. And I already knew what was going on behind the scenes with it and like where everything was headed. And so when I saw this user interface, and I'm like, all you have to do is just tell it what you want
mhm.
in words, like, and anybody can do
Like you
it.
were talking to a person.
Yeah, that's when I was like, yeah, that's when Lauren and I were like, oh my gosh, like this is
Yeah.
amazing. And I knew, like, we even knew at the time that it was still like, if you 3.5 blew our minds, right? And
Mhm.
now 3.5 is like,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm,
whatever.
mhm,
But like, I knew where the trend was going.
mhm,
And we also knew that it was going to keep improving and getting better. And so we were like, we need to catch this wave because this is
mhm,
going to change, like the way the internet changed the
mhm.
world. Like
Right.
this is also going to have a similar
Mhm,
impact.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
So
I'll
you
let
went,
her.
ooh, must jump on
So
this.
then, yeah. So then we jumped in with both feet,
Mhm,
Yes,
and I'll
we
let
did.
her.
We
Yeah.
decided to both leave our jobs, and we also were really keen on traveling the world. And
mhm,
so we both wanted to go to Bali really bad. And we were like, well, what if we leave our jobs and
mhm.
we pack up and leave our homes and we travel the world together while we grow our own business in AI?
Right. Because as long
And
as you have an internet connection, you can be working.
right? Yes, exactly. So, yeah, so we took the leap. And I think what made us feel really confident and that we could really succeed together
Mhm,
was like our diverse but very like complementary backgrounds
mhm.
because Lauren's engineering background
She
and
is the
like,
rocket scientist.
yes, exactly. And all the analysis and all of that. And
Mhm,
then my background, I've been an entrepreneur for over,
mhm,
oh gosh, I think
mhm,
it's 18 years now, and I have deep experience in online business, sales, and
mhm,
marketing. So we're like, well, that's a really good
mhm.
combination.
Yeah, a
And
yin
yes,
and a yang.
exactly,
Mhm,
exactly. So, and it's been working great for us.
mhm. I love it. I love it. So you guys decided to launch these great products and services. And a big part of it is because, and as I have learned over the course of months, and then of course, doing all the interviews for this thing, I just get overwhelmed, because there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of AI programs out there. Some of them are incredibly specific there, but then the others are the ones like Chat GPT and things like that. And and there's just too much. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out where the heck I go. Now I use Chat GPT. I have the paid version of it, so I get a little bit higher level of um, conversations, and that's what I just call them. And but part of what you do is you help kind of uncomplicate things.
Yeah, and I would say if you're feeling overwhelmed with AI, because I know things are changing rapidly, I
Mm-hmm,
think what was it last week? There were several like major announcements and breakthroughs and all
mm-hmm,
that kind of stuff with DeepSeek. But the best place to start is looking at like the things that you actually do in your business, because it's really
mm-hmm.
easy to get shiny object syndrome and start playing
Oh
around
yeah,
with like
squirrel.
image generators and movie generators and like all these different things. But if you actually look at like what are the daily tasks that are
Mm-hmm,
taking up a lot of your
mm-hmm,
time, that are really repetitive, I know a lot of business owners are creating a lot of content or
mm-hmm,
they're sending a lot of email sequences or
mm-hmm,
things like that. You just start with the things that you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're already doing a lot of email marketing, a great place, like a good, just one thing to start learning with ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
is how to have it write great email sequences for
Mm-hmm.
you. Like just start with that one
Mm-hmm.
thing and you get comfortable with that one
Mm-hmm.
thing. And okay, maybe now you're writing a lot of social media content,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you want to repurpose
Mm-hmm.
your podcast. So you just find you don't look for like what can the tool do? You just start with what
Mm-hmm.
am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the tool that can help me do that?
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool is you can even ask AI, and it'll help you figure that out. So
Ooh, cool,
yeah.
cool. And of
Yeah.
course, how you ask the prompts is absolutely the most critical part of this. And when Chat GPT first came out, and still a lot of people when they first jump in, they're too general. Write me a blog post about. And they'll get one, they'll get something, but they might look at it and go, yeah. So talk to us about how we need to actually work with whatever platform we're using.
Yeah, so okay, so a few things. Each chatbot has its own personality.
Mhm. And
And
they
if you
do,
think
folks,
about,
they have personalities. It's a
yeah,
little scary, but a little fun.
yeah, so the rundown of like ChatGPT, it was, I mean, Microsoft owns 49% of it.
Mm-hmm.
What's Microsoft's personality? It's like very corporate,
Mm-hmm.
academic,
Business. Mm-hmm.
professional, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like the default setting for ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super flexible. If you tell it
Mm-hmm.
to be some other way, it
Mm-hmm.
can, but without any instructions, that's how it's going to be. It's going
Right.
to speak in a passive voice
Mm-hmm.
like engineers are trained to do, which is,
Mm-hmm.
very, it doesn't create a lot of emotion or
Mm-hmm.
intimacy with the reader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you're writing, okay, we'll start with the example of a blog post. You can ask it to give you topics,
Mm-hmm.
like first brainstorm some topics, like this is what I do. Like
Okay.
I'm a relationship coach.
Mm-hmm.
I help introverted men find
Mm-hmm.
lasting love. Help me come up with some
Mm-hmm.
ideas for blog
It
of
is,
blogs that I
after all,
can.
Valentine's Day this week as we're recording this.
Yeah. And the first thing, if that's all you say, it'll come up with topics that are good,
Mm-hmm.
but they might be a little bit bland. Because the other
Mm-hmm.
thing it's programmed by default is to always just be very polite.
Right.
And so you can give it some extra stuff to ask it to be just a little bit edgy
Mm-hmm.
or like just a little bit polarizing without
Mm-hmm.
being over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it'll come up with stuff that's like a little bit more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can have it come up with the topics,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find a topic you like and you say, write an outline, just so
Mm-hmm.
that you can see what it's
Okay.
thinking, of what it
Mm-hmm.
would put in the blog.
Mm-hmm.
And the outline is going to be good, but not great.
Right.
Like it's just going to be a little bit bland. And so
Mm-hmm.
then what you do is you tell it, okay, what I really want to say is this.
Mm-hmm.
And you just do a talk to text.
Mm-hmm.
So on a Mac, you press, it's usually like the F5 key to turn on your
Mm-hmm.
microphone. On a Windows, it's the start key and the letter H.
Mm-hmm.
And you just talk into your computer and
Ah.
it'll, yeah, talk to text to
Mm-hmm.
like type in. And you just say all of your thoughts because you're
Mm-hmm.
the expert. Like,
Mm-hmm.
here's my unique take, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what I really want to say about this thing. And you don't need to make it sound fancy. Don't you or worry about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you tell it to write it, so this is what I really want to
Mm-hmm.
say. Don't sound overly scripted or rehearsed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, use the first person and second person narratives. So
Mm-hmm.
use the active voice.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, and then we typically give it a little bit of demographic info, so like age
Okay.
and gender.
Right. Our
Also
readers
really
are
helps it
women over
to,
the age of whatever. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, so I would say, sound like a 40-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
And ChatGPT tends to nail that voice really well.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you give it just some basic demographic
Mm-hmm.
info, that also helps it really
Mm-hmm.
understand who it's supposed to be, right? Who's the
Mm-hmm.
author of this
Mm-hmm.
and, what type of language would they
Mm-hmm.
typically use. So that's the way that we do it. We have it come up with some ideas for
Mm-hmm.
us. We tell it like, here's our unique take.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give our brand voice prompt, I think it's just a paragraph. It's like
Mm-hmm.
not even very long.
Mm-hmm.
It's, sounding like a 40-year-old woman,
Mm-hmm.
use everyday vocabulary, so it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
say any of those weird, I'm buzzing with excitement. Nobody says that.
Yes. Yeah. Especially
Um,
not somebody in their 40s. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Right.
we tell it don't sound overly scripted because
Mm-hmm.
another thing that AI really tends to do when it's copywriting
Mm-hmm.
is you'll feel it in a really strict framework,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Right.
transitions are kind of abrupt. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes it feel really like
Mm-hmm.
robotic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tell it don't sound overly scripted or rehearsed,
Mm-hmm.
it puts a really nice smooth
Mm-hmm.
transition from like
Mm-hmm.
one section to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really like the process that we go through. And it's It works
Hmm.
really well. Because the other thing is like you don't want to let AI tell you what to think. You don't want to just
Right.
have
Hmm.
AI come up with the ideas and then write
Hmm.
the article because it's not going to be
Yeah.
bad. It's just not going to be it's
It's
not
not
going to like
you.
yeah, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Hmm.
hook anybody's attention. It's not
Hmm.
you. But if you basically treat it like your ghostwriter,
Hmm.
and you say like this is my unique
Hmm.
perspective and take, this is what I really want to say about
Hmm.
it. And I like when I do it, I just stream of consciousness.
Hmm.
Sometimes I ramble a little bit. And the beautiful thing about AI is that it'll sort it out and I'm like, yeah, like
Hmm.
that's how I wanted to say it. That
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still like my idea.
Hmm.
It's like our idea and our thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can chime in something
Yeah.
else too that
Hmm.
actually I use all the time when I'm not sure exactly what to say to AI to get a really great
Hmm.
response. So if I have a task, basically I can go to the chat box
Hmm.
and I can say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, or this is what I
Hmm.
want to accomplish. What information do you need from me
Hmm.
in order to get me a really great response?
Right.
And it will tell you the
Hmm.
information it needs so you can
Hmm.
feed it properly. And so
Hmm.
that's also just like a really quick way to get better output
Hmm.
faster.
I love it.
That's Yeah, that's like such a good point because it knows, like, if you want it to write a blog or
Hmm.
an email sequence to promote something,
Hmm.
like, it knows the information that it
Hmm.
needs in order to do that. And so you don't have to like figure it all out.
Hmm.
AI will just like ask you the list of questions, then you just tell
Right.
it. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
what I love is it actually remembers that going forward, and so, it's not like you have to every single time tell it all those details. Now, a blog post might be more informally written than say the website content. And so you might want to change that.
Yes.
But and we've talked about this with my other guests. I think this is where people get a little wigged out is we're talking to it like it's a person.
Yes.
And and I've also discovered, and our friend Christina DiGiacomo taught me this: tell it please, tell it thank you, good morning, all those things, and you get different levels of response. It's a little scary that it does that, but if you and so people are like, well, you're doing away with those employees. Possibly. But I also say you're also freeing them up to be doing something else. And for us little one-man bands, we don't have anybody else. So, it works out perfect to do that. But it is, now if it starts calling me Hal and wanting to, and having a weird voice, then I'm going to totally freak out. But yeah, we do we need to treat it polite. We need to, but we also need to do exactly what you said. Ask it what else it needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, the words that you use in the prompt really inform the type of output that you get
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because it basically is playing like a massive word association
mm-hmm,
game. And so when you're using words like please and thank you,
mm-hmm.
those words please and thank you are associated with certain types of text that it's
Right.
going to pull from, like
It's going
when
to
it
be more
gives,
polite.
yeah, when it gives
Mm-hmm,
the response. And
mm-hmm,
so, yeah, if your input prompt is really blunt and maybe
mm-hmm,
that's your speaking style, there's
mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with blunt and
Right.
direct. There's places for it and it can be really
Mm-hmm,
effective.
mm-hmm,
So if you're typing in short sentences and speaking really bluntly and
mm-hmm,
directly, that's how it's going to
mm-hmm,
respond. And if you're talking in longer, more formal sentences, that's how it's going to
mm-hmm,
respond. And when you actually look at, if you look at the system prompt that's running in the background in ChatGPT, the
mm-hmm.
one that
The
basically
prompt of all
it's
prompts.
basically OpenAI's custom instructions to
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. It says to, it's like, I want to laugh, but it says to like match the tone, style, and
Mm-hmm.
vibe of the person that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to.
Yeah.
So now
So when,
you've mentioned something a couple of times that I didn't know. There's settings in Chat GPT that we can change and tweak.
yeah, so there is the OpenAI system prompt, and you can't touch that one because it's like kind of
It's
on
their
the in the background.
proprietary, the ring to end all rings. Or no, I've mixed my
Yeah, and it's
metaphors.
Yeah, I've seen it. And basically, it's just telling it your chat GPT, you're a chat bot,
Mhm.
be friendly, match the tone,
Right.
style, and vibe of the person you're talking to. It's just
Hmm.
like that kind of stuff. But in chat GPT, there's custom instructions that you can give it for
Okay.
conversations where you can have it play a certain role or
Hmm.
respond in a certain way. So yeah, you can adjust the settings in there.
Ah,
Some of them. Yeah.
cool. Cool.
Them. Yeah. But I think that actually is kind of a good segue into talking about custom
Hmm.
GPTs
Right.
because this is really where things can be taken to a whole other
Mm-hmm.
level.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been using custom GPTs, Deb?
I have not. So this is going to be great fun.
Oh, okay. Well, so for us, we've actually custom GPTs are basically like AI employees
Mm-hmm.
that can be trained to focus on one very specific
Mm-hmm.
task for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of elements to what makes a GPT highly effective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so those things are uploading a knowledge base
Mm-hmm.
of information to train it
Mm-hmm.
very highly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example in a minute. And then the second thing is custom instructions that are
Mm-hmm.
instructing that
Right.
GPT on
Mm-hmm.
what to do. And then the third thing is making sure that you are prompting it well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving it good input in order to
Mm-hmm.
get a really good and aligned output. So one of our favorite custom GPTs that we've created is our AI copywriter.
Okay.
And we call it the AI copywriter in a box.
Mm-hmm.
All of our clients have it and love it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you basically answer a few questions about your business on one of our intake
Mm-hmm.
forms.
Mm-hmm.
And behind the scenes, our AI tool runs its
Mm-hmm.
magic and it delivers a content playbook for you, which really
Ah.
is
Mm-hmm.
like an 80-page document
Mm-hmm.
that is all about your business, your
Mm-hmm.
ideal client, your brand
Mm-hmm.
voice, all of your offers. So it knows
Mm-hmm.
everything about your business
Mm-hmm.
and really how you want to project yourself
Mm-hmm.
into the world. And then you upload that to your custom GPT
Ah.
with a set of highly
Mm-hmm.
specific custom instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anytime we want to write copy,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's email
Mm-hmm.
sequences or social media posts or blogs or
Mm-hmm.
newsletters, we go there and all we have to do is copy and paste one of our prompts
Mm-hmm.
and give it a little bit of direction of,
Mm-hmm.
what we want the topic to be
Mm-hmm.
about, which is where, our expertise comes
Mm-hmm.
into play still. And like in seconds, you've got really, really
Mm-hmm.
amazing copy because it's so trained in your voice. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
It does. And
Yeah.
what I love about this is I think, and I kind of alluded to this at the start, it seems very difficult and very complicated, but it's actually not.
If you
Um,
can, yeah, if you can upload a document to Google Drive, you have
mhm.
all the tech skills you need to make a custom GPT.
I
Because when
love
we
it.
say like
Hmm.
train it,
Hmm.
what we literally mean is like upload a Google Doc, like
Hmm.
just the same way that you would
Hmm.
upload a video to YouTube, upload a
Right.
picture to Facebook,
Hmm.
upload, yeah, it's like a
Hmm.
click and a click and it's done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
We love it. And then
and
so you can build a whole team of these GPTs for
hmm.
your business that are,
Hmm.
specifically trained for different like
Hmm.
tasks, whether it's on the marketing and sales side
Hmm.
or even an operations side of things.
Hmm.
We have a GPT that's called the sales coach also
Hmm.
that is like basically our 24/7 sales expert
Hmm.
that helps us and guides us and,
Hmm.
you know, listens to the transcripts of our sales
Hmm.
calls, even to give us feedback on
Hmm.
opportunities we might have missed, write our follow-up
Hmm.
strategies and emails for us. Like it's pretty incredible.
I love
So
it. And you
yeah.
just set those up in Chat GPT?
yeah, so actually I was going to add to that. One of our clients, we were just talking to her. She said that because she has her copywriter, she's going to save $60,000 this year on copywriting
Hmm.
costs. And she was saying, since I freed up that money, now I can hire another member to my
Hmm.
team to
Right.
do these other things.
Hmm.
And she's like, because now it only takes me minutes to generate
Hmm.
copy. And yeah, she's like, and I'm doing
Hmm.
it. What did she say? She got like a month's worth of posts done in
Hmm.
like minutes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I really am. One of the things that just amazes me is how fast it does it. I'm working on becoming a cancer coach, and so writing text and all sorts of things. So I've got kind of that high level. Here's kind of what I sort of want to do things. But and could I come up with the website text? Well, I am a marketing person, so you would hope that I could, but it would take me a while. And so I go into Chat GPT and I say, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to offer. And I get, really specific. And in 10 seconds, if even 10 seconds is probably like 5 seconds, poof, there it is. And then I go back in and I go, okay, that's not a word I would use. Or let's, we missed something and things like that. But and so yeah, I mean, it's just incredible to do that. And so now, okay, so I'm just going to get into the weeds here. So I have some of these discussions going on in Chat GPT, and each one is a separate discussion. Can I then turn that into a custom GPT?
No, but you can
Okay.
turn that into a project.
Okay.
And so not to confuse things here, but there's,
Right. But yeah, that allows you to sort things. I mean, it's basically
yeah.
your file
So
folders. Hmm.
yeah, so actually what a project does is when you create a project, which is that
Hmm.
file folder, you
Hmm.
put all your chats in there.
Hmm.
All those chats that are in that project know what you said in the other chats. So all the
Right.
chats in that
Hmm.
project have awareness of each other.
Hmm.
And you can also upload files and documents and things
Hmm.
like that. And that's typically, like the name suggests, when you're working on a particular project. Maybe
Hmm.
it's the project of building a website. So
Hmm.
you're doing all your website
Hmm.
copy and lead magnets and
Hmm.
whatever other stuff you might have.
Hmm.
We've also had clients like they do work for clients. And
Hmm.
so they'll have a project that's
Oh,
just
by
one
client.
client that
Okay.
they're working
Hmm.
on. Yeah, so that's projects.
Hmm.
And then custom GPTs are for like really repetitive tasks.
Okay.
Copywriting is an extremely repetitive
Okay.
task,
Hmm.
which is why we have a
Hmm.
copywriter. Um, we also have one like sales follow-ups and
Hmm.
sales prep work. That's why we have our sales
Hmm.
coach, because it will help us like
Hmm.
plan discovery
Hmm.
questions, come up with negotiation
Hmm.
strategies, plan our follow-up sequence
Hmm.
after like a sales call. Um, so yeah, you have custom GPTs
Hmm.
for like those repetitive
Hmm.
tasks, and then projects for usually like a limited time
Okay.
that we're
Okay.
working on. Yeah.
But yeah, because that's been, I think, one of the things that I've heard people complain about is they lose things, or they do one thread that has multiple different things on it. And then it starts getting stuff confused, just like if it was a real person. I mean, if I just kept dumping on you and dumping on you, pretty soon you're like, which project are we talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just sorting and making sure that you're organized.
Yeah.
Well, we've gotten into the habit of, so if you actually, when you're in a chat GPT
Hmm.
chat, if you copy the URL,
Hmm.
that link
Hmm.
into like whatever you're working on, like we
Hmm.
always save the links now
Hmm.
in the Google Doc of
Hmm.
whatever we're working on so that we can find it very quickly, just
Ah.
click the
Hmm.
link and it takes us back to that
Hmm.
chat.
Hmm.
So once we started doing that, everything became a lot
Hmm.
easier for
Right,
us.
especially if you're using it a lot. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where was it that I asked it to do X? Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when we're creating email sequences and we've got a great chat going in our
Mhm.
copywriter, but we have to step away from the email sequence for a
Mhm.
while, we'll just make sure that we take that URL, just like
Mhm.
Lauren was saying, and
Mhm.
put that into the Google Doc where we've been
Mhm.
saving the
Mhm.
emails. Or the
Yeah.
same thing if we're like working on video scripts or
Mhm.
anything like that. We just always take that link and just put it exactly in
Mhm.
the document that we were
Mhm.
working
Yeah.
on.
Right, because then you can just click it and poof, you're
Yep.
back where you were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one other thing that, funnily enough, like we didn't even realize this until maybe a month ago, but there's a little magnifying glass
Uh-huh.
icon in ChatGPT. So the search
The
icon.
search icon. Ah.
I, so you can actually search for
Mhm.
a specific phrase that might be able to
Right.
pull up a chat for
Mhm.
you. So I know
Yep.
one day I found that and I'm like, well, how did I not know this was here this
Yeah,
whole time?
I'm wondering if that's not something new that they have
It
added
is
in.
new.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
well then that's why.
finally, yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing we'll do is if a chat is really important or if it's really good,
Mhm.
we'll rename it and we put three asterisks in front of the
Ah,
name.
okay.
We're scanning through, it
It's
just
going to go
jumps out
higher
at you
up.
because
Mhm.
visually it jumps out
Mhm.
at you in the list because it starts
Mhm.
with the three stars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, again, it's just, staying organized. Power users of Outlook are going to have
Yeah.
folders as opposed to 2,000 or 20,000 messages, right? They're going to have stuff in folders. And on Google Docs, all of those things, or Google, you're going to organize. So I'm assuming that Chat GPT is your favorite. What other AI tools do you use?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. Okay, so we use a lot of the chatbot. Well, ChatGPT is our go-to
Hmm.
because just as a platform, it has
Hmm.
the most functionality. So we've
Right.
got you can make your custom
Hmm.
GPTs. We have like really cracked the code on that, and we are like obsessed with our
Hmm.
copywriter. We're in there 95% of the
Hmm.
time. We're
Hmm.
using our copywriter and not regular chat. We also use Claude, and I know a lot
Hmm.
of people like Claude for copywriting.
Hmm.
Um, and we also use Gemini. Google's Gemini is like one of
Hmm.
the unsung heroes of the AI world.
Hmm.
But it really is incredible. And they've just recently released some upgrades. But you might have heard on the news recently that there's a couple of new models. There's DeepSeek.
Hmm.
I don't know if you heard of that one.
Hmm. That one's got people a little freaked
Amazing.
out. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Hmm.
We'll see how long we can still access it as Americans. But
Hmm. Yeah, that's probably going to go away. But
yeah, but it's like it's incredible. It's
yeah.
super smart.
Hmm.
We actually wanted to start building tools with
Hmm.
it, but it's just a little bit buggy because
Hmm.
it's so new.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's DeepSeek, and I just imagine that there's going to be a lot of AI innovation coming
Hmm.
out. One of the other really big things that happened is deep research,
Hmm.
because one of AI's major limitations for like the
Hmm.
large language models like
Hmm.
ChatGPT is the data set that they're working with is always at least like 6 months out of date.
Right. Because
Yeah.
content has to get in there and get sorted and all that stuff.
Yeah. So it doesn't know what happened
Hmm.
last week. It knows what
Hmm.
happened last year, but
Hmm.
doesn't know what happened last week.
Right.
You're trying to create content that is like timely and
Hmm.
relevant. Previously, you would just tell it like, here's the news events.
Right.
But what deep research does, they've
Hmm.
released it in the ChatGPT Pro, like the $200 a month account.
Hmm.
And I think in a couple months, it's coming down to like the $20
hmm
a month plans. It will go, you ask it a question, like, what's going on for high ticket coaches and consultants right
hmm
now in 2025? Like, what are
hmm
the trends? What are people saying?
Mm.
And it will go and search. It'll spend anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes
Ah, okay.
scouring.
So it's really researching.
It's
Yes.
really, that's why it's called deep
Hmm.
research.
Hmm.
Um, and it will read tons of pages. It will kind of like address its like, or kind of self
Hmm.
course correct as it's like reading and weeding through all
Hmm.
this information for you. And then the answers it comes back with
Hmm.
are like incredible. We've
Hmm.
been playing around with this and it's like, you can act, and the reason I bring up DeepSeek is because DeepSeek has deep research for free that you can go and access right
Ah.
now.
Hmm.
And I was just playing around with DeepSeek, and DeepSeek is really good too.
Mm.
So if you think of like literally whatever you want to know but don't have time to research
Hmm.
yourself, you can just go ask it, and they
Hmm.
can be complicated questions
Hmm.
that it has to go and read all different types of sources.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's I'm really excited about it.
I love it. And like we were saying, I mean, there are some extremely specific things, but they're all still learning. The graphic creation part fascinates me, but it's also funny that it still can't get hands right. And it's like people's hands only have 5 fingers. Now they might have less, but they're not going to have more. And I've seen still some fairly new programs with like 6 fingers,
Yeah.
or they put the fingers wrong, and it can't spell. I've talked about this on my interviews. I was doing a graphic, and it was about an upcoming event, and I just needed the graphic, and then I was gonna do the rest of the stuff. It could not spell Monday, even though I said the word is Monday. Nope, nope, couldn't get it right. And then okay.
Yeah, it uses the image generators versus like the large language models like,
Mm-hmm,
versus text generators. They
mm-hmm,
use different types of technology and
mm-hmm,
different they work in really different ways.
mm-hmm,
And there's actually like I went down this rabbit hole. It's a very interesting reason
mm-hmm.
why hands and letters are so hard for image generators. Yeah.
Well, you have to tell
I was
us.
going to say, you're not going to
So,
tell us.
I know
okay,
she's
yeah.
just gonna leave us hanging.
Okay, well, I was like, do you want to talk about like reverse image diffusion? So the way that they train the models
Mm-hmm,
for image generation is they will take a picture and say this is a dog,
mm-hmm,
and then they start to pixelate the picture and let it turn grainier and grainier until it gets to like that, like the black and white fuzz that you see on TV
mm-hmm,
screen. And as the algorithm is like watching the way all those pixels disappear, it's learning like how to turn a dog into just random pixels.
okay.
And you do that millions of times,
Mm-hmm,
millions of different images of dogs, and it starts to learn how to take random pixels. Like, so when you say create a dog with
mm-hmm,
a hat, it goes into its knowledge base with like all of these patterns that it has memorized of like how to
mm-hmm,
turn a dog into pixels and how to turn a hat into like random pixels.
mm-hmm,
It takes that and it reverse engineers it. So it starts with random pixels and
mm-hmm,
goes in the opposite direction to build the image of a dog. Each pixel that it's building is influenced by the pixel that is next to it.
Mhm.
Also, by the way, like the image generators weren't trained on text, so they were shown images of dogs and flowers
Right. Mhm.
and the images might have had letters in them, but
Mhm.
usually like they were not being explicitly told this
Mhm.
is the Monday, like this is,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. Um, and so when you look at the human hands, we have like four very similar digits that are
Mhm.
next to each other.
Mhm. And then the thumb.
Yeah, and then a
Mhm.
thumb,
Mhm.
which is why usually the thumb tends to come out correctly because
Mhm.
it's standalone and like
Mhm.
more unique.
Right.
But yeah, because we have like these four repeating
Mhm.
digits so similar that are next to each other,
Mhm.
basically as it's like taking each random black or white
Mhm.
pixel and like
Mhm.
to color, it's each pixel is only influenced by the pixels that are in the immediate vicinity of
Mhm.
it, as it's like optimizing, optimizing, optimizing. And so it's not literally counting the fingers, it's just saying what is most probable to go next to like this set of
Ah.
pixels in the immediate vicinity.
Mhm. And that's
Yeah.
why, and like, of course, with hands, they're not, in some people they are, but in most people, they're not the same length.
Yeah.
And it's not consistent. I mean, usually your middle digit is the longest finger, but not always. And so yeah, that's got to be confusing because it doesn't know because it is, it's not that smart. It's just gonna maybe do an average or something like that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's some programs like some AI image generators that have really like nailed hands. Like that
Mm-hmm.
problem is like been solved because they did a lot more training on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple that are specifically designed to do letters and
Mm-hmm.
spelling really well. One is
Mm-hmm.
ideogram.ai, and their big claim to fame,
Mm-hmm.
the reason that people like rushed over there
Yeah, I
is that
signed up for that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they do words really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've used that one
Mm-hmm.
successfully.
Yeah.
I love it. And for all of these, especially the broader use type of things, there are the free versions. So, folks, don't sign up and pay unless you really, really like it and want the additional features. But you just explained something that I was wondering about yesterday. So, as we are recording this, the Super Bowl was yesterday. Of course, we didn't watch for the football game. I know Lauren Shaw did, but I was watching for the commercials, right? And so the Chat GPT commercial, I loved it. I thought it was great. And it was just black and white circles that kept morphing into other images. And I really did. I thought that was probably one of the best. And everybody else was like, it made no sense. But it's doing exactly what you're talking about. It was creating all of that out of just those two things, the white dot or the black dot.
Hmm. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to go watch it. I must
I
say,
It was
haven't seen
pretty
that
I
cool.
must
commercial.
have walked away for that one. Darn.
Well, and it's funny because it doesn't say that it's for Chat GPT until like the last five
Oh,
seconds. And so, yeah, if you went, well, that was kind of weird, because it is. It was just it's these. It was kind of like the old Etch a Sketch, right? You shook it and things changed. That was kind of what this was. And yeah, it was very interesting because I remember I watched it thinking, well, this is pretty cool. And then it was like, whoa, Chat GPT, but I didn't get the correlation. But it was interesting because there were, I mean, my understanding was a 30-second ad was about $8 million.
yeah.
And there were several for AI. Google ran at least one, ChatGPT ran one. So that is another indicator of how mainstream all of this is. And you're not going to get much more mainstream than a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
That's true.
I
Yeah, I'm
love it.
curious too, because I mean, there's, obviously we're talking about business,
Mm-hmm.
but there are so many use cases for AI
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to just lifestyle
Right.
and making things a little bit easier
Mm-hmm.
on yourself, whether it's like coming up with recipes
Mm-hmm.
or, helping you optimize your schedule and
Mm-hmm.
like picking up kids and fitting in everything.
Right.
It's, yeah.
My younger sister just decided she wanted to plant a garden. She lives
Mm-hmm.
down in Florida. And she's like, I want a vegetable garden, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what grows well here. And it's like so
Mm-hmm.
much to research. So she just went on ChatGPT and it came
Mm-hmm.
up with like an entire plan
Mm-hmm.
for her, told her what to get, where to
Mm-hmm.
plant things, when to plant
Mm-hmm.
them. Yeah. And she's
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
building the garden that ChatGPT told her to.
Right. Well, we were in the California area last week, and we were flying in and out of San Francisco, but staying with family. Well, then we decided, okay, we need to get into the airport because our flight was at 5 a.m. And was like, we're going to go check into a hotel. And so I put into Chat GPT, what are hotels close to SFO? And it actually knew what SFO was. And so it knew the code for the San Francisco airport. And so I said, what are hotels close to SFO that have shuttles back and forth? Poof, there it was. Now, of course, could I have gone into, say, Travelocity or, multiple other programs? Yeah. But I, more than anything, I just wanted to see what it would come up with. And it came up with one that was less than a mile away, had shuttles starting at 5 a.m., going until midnight, consistently every 20 minutes. And none of the other ones, and it broke that out. It said it has shuttles running every, and all that stuff. And, so it saved me several, I don't know, probably an hour's worth of time researching it. And then I would have gone, what was the first one I found? Right.
Yeah, I know. I've been using it. Lauren and I have been, full-time travelers for the last 2 years. So we use it all of the time. Like I have a flight coming up in a few days with a short connection time in Miami that I was worried about. And so I went to ChatGPT and I like talked to it about it and told it like, I'm concerned about this short connection time. Like, do you know like where I'm coming from and where I'm going to, like how far away my gates might be and like what I should do just to make sure. And it gave me like a great strategy.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and it always has the disclaimer in there, right? Which it should. Things may have changed, and especially at, say, an airport, I'm in Atlanta, so here we have Hartsfield Jackson, and yesterday, an entire concourse was shut down because somebody left a bag, and so people were putting it into Chat GPT, and Chat GPT was like, yeah, because it was too recent, and it couldn't. I couldn't grasp that, they had just shut down one of the concourses.
Right. That makes sense.
But if you said, what are the restaurants? Then it's going to know what are the restaurants on that concourse.
And that's where deep research is really going to make such a huge difference, especially when they release it into like the $20 a month plan, because you'll be able to just turn on deep research and ask it a question like that, and it will go get search the entire
It'll
internet
go to
and
the
get
news
real-time data.
Yeah. Right. Well, and of course, it is only as good as the information that's going into it, right? And so that's going to be correct and incorrect because it's just pulling from everything. And as we've recently seen with politics, without delving into politics, you have things that are right and things that are wrong. And more importantly, you have a lot of information that might be someone's opinion as opposed to fact. So that I tell people, yeah, you've got this, but you still have to make sure it's right.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking to that a little bit more, what you really can trust ChatGPT on is when it's speaking, if you ask it like, this is my ideal client, what are their biggest pain points and challenges? It's going to come back with something that you can pretty well trust is correct.
Right.
But if you're asking it for specific names of people, specific dates when things happened, there was like famously, I think it was a year and a half ago, some group of researchers cited a study that didn't exist because ChatGPT cited it. And so those types of things, when it gets into those specifics, like specific names, specific dates, it tends to hallucinate more. But when it's speaking in broad strokes or generalizations, it tends to be really accurate.
Right. Yeah, there were several law firms that got nailed because it cited cases as case law, and they'd been in like TV shows that people had they made that up for the TV show. So yeah, if it's important, folks, double check it, just like you would if your VA, your assistant, your whoever gave it to you. You should double check those really important things.
Yes,
absolutely.
So for people who are still going, oh my God, I love that you mentioned start small. But I think the other thing is, what all can it do? Because we've kind of touched on some of that, but pie in the sky. What are the things that I think many people wouldn't even think, wow, it can do that?
Let me think. Well, I guess it depends on how big is your budget for what can it
True.
do. I'll tell you what we use it for. So we use it for writing high converting sales scripts for our
Hmm.
clients. So it can do that. It can write presentations and webinar scripts. It can write video scripts. It can create a high ticket offer. It can create the entire curriculum for a course. Those are probably like more, it can also help you like strategize and come up with business plans. Um, some of the more out there things that it can do, I guess if you were a big company with a big budget, all of those machine learning algorithms that we interact with, like the Facebook algorithm, the
Hmm.
Netflix algorithm that's always recommending like that type of stuff to you,
Hmm.
like those are all AI programs.
Hmm.
And really like on the big side of things, stuff that like small businesses will probably never need. Um, but oh, self-driving cars. So it can drive a car.
Cool.
Um, it can it can also learn and adapt on its own. So this is like one of the big areas of research right now
Hmm.
is having it check its own work and come up with its own, it can't really come up with its own ideas, but using those deep research features to autonomously go out there, basically figure out the task that it needs to
Hmm.
do. So break its own task down into simple steps, execute each task one by one. So when you're
Hmm.
asking it to research for you some or something like that, it'll do that. Um, but yeah, basically the vision for AI is for it to be like a self-adapted learning and
Hmm.
intelligence
Right.
system. So
And that's what freaks people out.
that's what freaks people out.
Hmm.
Yeah. We're not there yet, but
Right. No Terminator, no,
yeah.
but yeah, and I get why people are freaked out by it. And I mean, if I were a graphic designer, I really would be getting pretty worried. But it still needs that human input, that human touch, all of those things. I'm, like I said, I'm in Atlanta, which has, a lot of uh, productions, TV, movie, things like that. And so the screenwriters and people were very worried. But it's exactly what you were saying before. It can generate the outline,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we go in and say the nuances and all of those
Yeah.
things.
It can
Yeah.
even yeah, so what it does is it always answers in the voice of the public and it always comes up with the most average answer that you could possibly
Right.
expect. So that's what it's designed to do. And that's why it inherently lacks creativity.
Hmm.
And so human creativity, like they still are, I don't think they're any closer to cracking the code on that with AI
Hmm.
than they were, like 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Because all it can do is it can just reference information that it already
Right.
knows
Hmm.
or information that it finds.
Hmm.
But the act of creatively coming up with
Hmm.
some new, fresh idea, it's not designed to do that.
Hmm.
So that's another reason why we tell people don't just let it write the article for you because
Hmm.
it's gonna be so average that it just doesn't stand
Right.
out from
Because it's
anything.
pulling
Yeah.
from lots of other similar sources.
Yeah, because so it's not really thinking,
Hmm.
it's just referencing other
Hmm.
information that it
Right.
already has. It's
Hmm.
not thinking of new
Hmm.
ideas.
Right.
Yeah. And I have something to add to this also, because this is where the conversation around, people fearing for their jobs,
Hmm.
whether they're a copywriter, marketing, branding, graphic designer, there's still always going to be the need for like their expertise
Hmm.
and the deep
Right.
skills that they've learned
Hmm.
over the
Hmm.
years to get them to where they are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so there's this huge opportunity for right now for those industries to leverage
Hmm.
AI in addition to their expertise.
Hmm.
And it's actually an opportunity for them to even charge more premium
Hmm.
prices for their services because not only can they now give that expertise to their clients, but
Hmm.
they can get them there faster with the
Right.
help of
Hmm.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
and
like if
there's
you hired more staff.
yeah, exactly. And there's like one more thing I want to add to this conversation that I think is really important is this conversation that we're having right now is a very old it's like it's not a new
Hmm.
conversation. Every time a new technology comes
Right.
out,
Oh
this
my God, word
conversation arises.
processors are going to take
So
away, right? You're
yeah,
not
back in
old
the early
enough to remember that.
1900s, yeah, back in the early 1900s when factories and
Hmm.
machines were becoming a big thing, it's
Hmm.
like what's going to happen to the,
Right.
where the
Hmm.
job's going to go.
Hmm.
When the computer came out in the
Hmm.
80s, it's like what's going to happen to
Hmm.
jobs? And now here's AI, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing. What's going to happen to jobs?
Right.
And,
Hmm.
the technology just gets
Hmm.
adopted and the jobs,
Hmm.
adapt with the
Right.
technology.
Right.
Yeah.
As we were talking, squirrel, one of the things that I was thinking about was because it is kind of this mass brain, maybe is the and it is we should be very careful, I'm assuming, and maybe Lauren Shaw, because you're the marketing person, about putting proprietary information in there. Because can it then go out to the rest of the world that people could use, or can it keep a secret?
Well, I know Lauren Capwell loves to answer this question, so I'll kick us off, but she'll probably go deeper into it for you. But AI is trained on a massive amount of data,
Mm-hmm.
and so if you put like one tiny little piece of information into
Mm-hmm.
AI in this like giant sea of
Mm-hmm.
information that it's been trained on,
Mm-hmm.
what is the likelihood that it is going to
Pretty
come?
small. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so cybersecurity experts will tell you if it's proprietary, if you have an NDA, don't share it with
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT because that information goes out to the
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI servers. You can use Microsoft Copilot because it does run on
Mm-hmm.
GPT-4, so it has the intelligence run on OpenAI, but it has the privacy protections of
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft. I'm not an attorney, go read their privacy policy for
Yeah,
yourself.
and
But
read it every time because it'll change. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the answer is if you're putting something into it's just like you're putting in like 1 grain of sand
Mm-hmm.
on a giant beach.
Right.
So the amount that that's really going to influence the model, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's tons of people doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
like all putting in their grain of sand,
Mm-hmm.
the exact same type of grain of
Mm-hmm.
sand, it will eventually start to pick up on that.
Right.
But no, it doesn't. The way that the data set works is it's basically already been downloaded from the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like saved on a server. The
Mm-hmm.
model has been trained on that data set.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not like putting new things into the data set.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this could
It
change.
didn't go voila. Look what I have now.
But you are sharing potentially sensitive
Mm-hmm.
information with OpenAI,
Mm-hmm.
who like when it's on their servers, you're now subject to their privacy policy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
have NDAs signed with clients, like that's the type of stuff you need to be careful about.
Right.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
whatever proprietary information, NDAs that you have signed,
Mm-hmm.
um, just determine whether or not
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI's privacy policy is either in compliance or not
Mm-hmm.
with whatever NDA, and it probably won't be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I mean,
it's not like
mhm.
somebody's going to put in a similar prompt and it's going to like give it like share your
Mm-hmm.
idea. At least as of today, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like that.
It's
So
not that
always subject to
sophisticated.
change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do know that they do take the queries and things that people are
Mm-hmm.
putting in. And I am certain beyond a shadow of a doubt that like they're also using that to like train and refine and
Mm-hmm.
make improvements
Right.
on
Oh,
the
yeah, which
model.
makes sense. What are people using it for?
Yes.
I mean, it goes back to Google, right? When you start typing something, it automatically gives you the end of what you might be looking for. And it's doing that based on what other people have searched for.
Yeah.
And like if you type Super Bowl winner, it's going to give you who won yesterday, but you might not want that, so you're going to put in there 2022 or whatever, because it automatically filled it in. But yeah, it's learning as it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the chances of it sharing your idea with
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, it's not impossible, just
Mm-hmm.
very unlikely.
Right. But
But
folks, if it's something
yeah,
important, don't do it. I mean,
yeah,
that's just
Yep,
what it comes down to.
that's what it comes
yeah,
down to.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And obviously, if you're a big company with big money, you can have your own AI program that is proprietary.
You
Um,
can even, yeah, I mean, you can even, if you're a small company, you can just use Microsoft Copilot
mhm.
because in the same way, like when you're typing something in Microsoft Word that's in your Word documents on the
Mhm.
cloud, Microsoft Copilot was designed for big corporations who
Mhm.
want to have access to
Right.
AI but don't have exactly that concern.
Mhm.
So again, read Copilot's privacy
Mhm.
policy, but as of the last time I checked, it's what a lot of attorneys use because
Mhm.
they have sensitive information that they
Right.
still want the
Okay.
benefits of AI.
Okay.
So it has more
Mhm.
Microsoft secure data
Mhm.
security protections, like we don't share it, that kind of stuff.
Mhm. I love it.
So yeah, if you want to use AI, but
Mm-hmm.
you're concerned about that stuff, read the privacy policy of Copilot, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the direction I would
Mm-hmm.
point you in. Yeah.
Right. Well, ladies, oh my gosh, we've only got about 5 minutes left. I think this is something that I want to do every year. So just prepare yourself. We'll do this again. And what will be amazing, I think, will be what has happened in a year's time. Because we've talked about it. I mean, just it launched big a couple years ago, and look at how much it has done in those 2 years. And so yeah, I think it will be great fun. But tell us how people find you and what are the services that you provide.
Yeah, sure. So you can find us at thelawrence.ai. On Instagram, we're at thelawrence.ai, and we're also on Facebook at thelawrence.ai. So you can find us there and reach out. We have a free AI community where we host meetups once a month, and I'll be happy to share the link for that for
Mm-hmm.
anybody who would like to register and just learn more
Great.
about AI. We have featured
Mm-hmm.
speakers come in as well, and we always
Mm-hmm.
focus on a single topic each month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in terms of our services,
Mm-hmm.
so our signature program is the AI Sales Accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited about it because it's really disrupting the way that the even like the coaching industry and
Mm-hmm.
online course industry is working, because now we can leverage AI tools to do a lot of the heavy
Mm-hmm.
lifting. And so our version of a course is really like a done for you program
Mm-hmm.
where our tools do the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's designed to really help you build a high ticket sales
Mm-hmm.
system for your business where you can attract premium clients consistently and be able to scale predictably. So, for anybody who's interested in that, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to chat with you. You can also reach us via email, hi@clarityplaybooks.com.
I love it. I love it. Well, this really has been so interesting. I've been taking notes and opening windows and doing all sorts of things. That's the hard part about this is I'm like, ooh, 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 squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. But it really is absolutely fascinating. It's making my life easier. And hopefully improving what I'm doing, right? That's the ultimate goal. But yeah, we're hoping that it's that way for everybody else who's listening also. And one of my other guests said it, you can either start doing this or get run over by somebody who is doing it.
Yes.
And you hate to think that
It's
way,
like it's
but
like the businesses, yeah, it's like the businesses that resisted going online back in the
mhm,
early, like late 90s,
right.
early
Mhm.
2000s.
Yeah.
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 I had people who told me I am never going to go and have a Facebook business page because that will never last.
Yeah.
Now it is Facebook's toy, so you never want to put all your ducks in there because they can say, "Whoops, nope, you broke our terms of service, or you have to pay, or whatever." But yeah, and or the people who said, "I'm going to keep using my typewriter."
Yeah.
No, I don't even know. Are there even typewriters out there anymore? But anyhow, yeah, it's we have to at least know what's going on. Maybe you're not going to use it, but you at least need to know what is going on.
Yeah. And just to end with one final thought, it was a study, Boston consulting firm did a study with ChatGPT where they had one group of consultants who didn't use it, one group who used it, and one group who used it with prompt training. And what they found was that it brought the average level of performance up by about 43%. For at least for like their lowest performing employees using ChatGPT with prompt training, the quality of their work improved by 43% and the speed at which they got it done. I can't remember what the improvement was, but it was a lot. So it was a higher quality work done in less time. And even for like their expert levels, it was a 17% improvement. So AI really comes down to like saving time and cutting costs.
I,
And I think the businesses that use it are really going to reap the benefits. And also, it's really fun.
I
Um,
love it. I love
yeah.
it. Well, Lauren Shaw, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Yes, I do. So I would also say beyond just getting in there and experimenting and taking time to do that, I think it's also really important to find community around AI because we actually learn faster when we're working together. So whether it's, with our AI Clarity community or finding someone that, has really been deep in this world for a while, knows what they're talking about, that you really just resonate with, I would just implore you to at least put in some effort to listen to the experts out there so that they've done the heavy lifting for you so you can get further faster.
I love it. I love it. Well, this really has been so much fun. I have enjoyed spending time with the Laurens, Lauren Capwell and Lauren Shaw, and Deb Creer. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.